Welcome to this explainer. So, I want you to close your eyes for just a second and picture the temperate northern forests. Imagine this landscape where ancient trees intertwine their branches, creating this thick, almost dark canopy. And below, scattered rocks are breaking up these lush, sprawling meadows. It's quiet, right? But it's actually teeming with unseen life. And darting through the shadows of this incredibly beautiful, slightly dark woodland is one of nature's most fascinating and honestly misunderstood creatures, the red fox. For centuries, folklore and fairy tales have painted a very specific and kind of unfair picture for us. We've always been told the red fox is this sneaky thief, right? Just a cunning trickster out to cause mischief. But is that really the whole story? No way. Today, our goal is to completely reframe how you see this animal. We're going to strip away the myth and look at the biological reality, because what we're actually dealing with here is a highly adaptable survivor, and surprisingly, a totally crucial ecosystem architect that basically holds the forest together.
Section 1. Anatomy of a hunter. Perfect physical adaptations. Okay, let's dive right into this. Let's start by looking at their basic build. The red fox is actually pretty compact. They're a small to medium-sized animal. From nose to tail, they reach a total length of up to 90 centimeters. And weight-wise, they are incredibly light on their feet, usually tipping the scales between just 4 and 8 kilograms out in the wild. Though it is worth noting that if they have abundant access to food, that weight can definitely go up a bit. But overall, it's a lean, super efficient frame built purely for survival.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that number right there, 40 centimeters. Out of that entire 90-centimeter total body length we just talked about, the tail alone can account for nearly half of it. And this big, bushy tail isn't just for show. It acts as a totally crucial dynamic counterbalance. Imagine a fox in a high-speed sprint making these sudden, crazy sharp jumps between trees and scattered rocks, while that 40-centimeter tail is shifting and adjusting the whole time to keep them perfectly balanced and upright. It's like a built-in steering wheel.
Moving beyond the tail, let's look at the finer details of their anatomy. They have this distinctly triangular head that perfectly cuts through the brush, along with small but incredibly sharp teeth. And notice those long pointed ears? They're essentially biological satellite dishes, catching the absolute faintest sounds of distant prey. Oh, and here's a totally surprising fact for you. Just like cats, red foxes actually have retractable claws. This unique little trait gives them an incredible edge when they're running across uneven terrain or even climbing. And of course, all of this is wrapped up in that iconic, beautiful red fur, shaded with white and brown, which acts as literal perfect camouflage in the dappled light of the northern forests.
You combine that physical build with some truly unmatched hunting senses, and you've got yourself a master predator. Their sense of smell is remarkably strong, letting them rapidly pinpoint both food and any approaching threats. Their sight is exceptionally sharp too, picking up the tiniest movements whether it's high noon or the dead of night. But their hearing, that might be the most magical part of the whole shebang. Picture this, a cautious hunter pausing dead in its tracks in the freezing cold. They can actually hear the microscopic rustling of mice scurrying deep underneath a thick blanket of snow, or tiny insects moving beneath fallen leaves. It's wild. It makes them an unbelievably cautious and intelligent hunter.
Section 2. Social intelligence and solitary life. So the crucial point here is how they interact with the world around them, especially given their reputation.
We have a really interesting contrast to explore here. For the most part, a red fox hunts alone. They are smart enough to avoid direct conflicts with larger animals, but surprisingly, they also possess a highly developed social intelligence. If necessity demands it, they will completely break their solitary rule to cooperate temporarily. We're talking sharing food or warning each other of imminent danger. They even interact with other species in their environment, from small birds to frogs. And sometimes they even have complex interactions with us humans.
Within this social structure, roles are actually quite defined. The male foxes have a very specific domain. Their primary focus in the wild is heavily centered on establishing and defending their territorial boundaries against rivals, and, of course, participating in mating to ensure the next generation. Basically, they are the perimeter guards of their environment.
Section 3. Guardian of the ecological balance. Now we're going to zoom out from the individual fox to look at its massive macro impact on the entire forest.
And this brilliantly illustrates why they are so vital. The red fox has an incredibly flexible diet. I mean, they are not picky eaters. They survive and thrive by eating literally everything from rodents and rabbits to small birds and insects. But they are also opportunistic foragers, happily snacking on fruits and grains whenever they are available. This adaptability is the absolute core of their survival.
Which brings us to why all of this truly matters to you and me.
They act as a vital protector, controlling rodent populations and planting the forests of tomorrow. You see, this diet isn't just about the fox filling its own stomach. By hunting mice and rabbits, they provide absolutely essential pest control, keeping rodents from completely overrunning the ecosystem. And when they eat those fruits and grains, well, they move across their territory and excrete the seeds. The red fox is literally planting the next generation of the forest as it walks, maintaining the entire ecological balance. It's a real game changer.
Section 4. The journey of life, from cub to hunter. Let's move to this next part and see how this all builds, starting right at the very beginning of their lives.
The story begins just as the winter cold starts to break. Step 1 is mating, which usually kicks off in late winter or early spring. Then we enter Step 2, which is a relatively short gestation period of just 50 to 55 days. And finally, Step 3 brings the birth of the next generation. A mother fox will give birth to a litter of 4 to 6 cubs, and she keeps them tucked away deep inside a highly secure den or hiding place, totally shielded from the harsh realities of the forest outside.
It is honestly hard to overstate just how fragile these apex hunters are when they first enter the world. These cubs are born incredibly vulnerable. I mean, they weigh a mere 100 to 150 grams. That's roughly the weight of an apple. They are completely blind, totally toothless, and entirely dependent on their mother for warmth, food, and protection during those critical first few weeks. The mother's role here is absolutely monumental.
But their development is incredibly rapid. From that blind and toothless birth, it takes just 4 weeks for their eyes to open and for them to start playfully tumbling around the den. And you know, this play is actually serious business. Under the careful watch of their mother, they are gradually learning the vital skills of hiding and hunting. By the time they reach 4 to 5 months of age, this intensive training is complete, and these young foxes achieve total independence. They're finally ready to face the forest entirely on their own.
Once they reach adulthood, a wild red fox has an average lifespan of about 5 to 10 years. It's a tough, demanding life out there in the temperate forests for sure. However, an interesting fact is that when these animals live in protected nature reserves, totally free from the heaviest pressures of survival, their lifespans can actually extend significantly beyond a decade.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, from their retractable claws and radar-like ears to their critical role in controlling pests and planting seeds. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you catch a glimpse of a red tail disappearing into the brush, will you still just see the sneaky trickster from the old fairy tales, or will you recognize the highly intelligent, adaptable guardian of the forest that keeps our ecosystems alive and balanced? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what you think you know.